One to do the Joe Rogan edit is this one, right? Talking about conspiracy theories, man.
I'm recording.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes, it does.
Excuse me, my crayon is a monkey. I find this conversation
Taking some interest in learning a bit more about technology, philosophy, and I like to.
I'm an educator.
Absolutely. We're going to stay anonymous.
That's a cop out.
The binary's gone.
No, it's just the order.
Order.
Hi guys, welcome to Beyond Binary Thinking, because the world is filled with a bounty of beautifully broad ideas and we should never be forced to listen to those people that want to make us pick a side.
From Cordoba, I'm Finn.
From Plymouth, I'm Chris.
From Amsterdam, I'm Marijn.
From Stockholm, I'm Toby.
Swindon, I'm Johnny.
Hey, so guys, we had an attempt at a highbrow episode last time. We've talked philosophy and Buddhism. I thought we'd go full Joe Rogan and talk about some crazy conspiracy theories. So how is everyone? Let's start there.
Good. My tinfoil's in the kitchen though. Should have probably got that out for the episode.
I think it's great. I think being locked inside, not being allowed to go out, is a perfect breeding ground for just conspiracy theories. So I'm primed.
I've been working on my PlayStation 10 for now 2 weeks.
We can tell.
Thanks.
I've almost finished Netflix. I need something
All of
new.
Netflix.
All of Netflix.
You know, you win the internet when you've watched everything on Netflix. Right? You get an award.
It's a great time to be alive. It's like
It's simultaneously the apocalypse and incredibly boring. It's two wonderful things to have running simultaneously.
Yeah, you get the realization of what actually is essential people.
not me.
Yes, Amazon.
No, I think like my job just closed down the first week they hit Sweden. Like, no, we don't need anyone working in hotels right now. We don't need foreigners. Just go home.
We filled all of ours with homeless people, and then they're all getting shut down for drug abuse. Who could have seen that one happening?
I thought they'd be quite good at using drugs. I'm surprised to hear they're abusing them. It's a bad sign.
Yeah.
When homeless people forget how to use drugs, I'm very it's the end days.
Yeah.
It's obviously a lot different doing it indoors than outdoors.
Maybe not adequate lighting, I suppose. Yeah.
So, guys, I'll try and rein us on topic somewhat. Let's start off talking about some of the lighter, fluffier conspiracy theories. So I remember growing up, there was that TV show by that fella that used to be on Star Trek, and he was always stroking his beard and like, was it aliens? Who knows? And the answer was always probably. You know what I'm talking about, right? And then there was always
character was it? Was it Riker?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was that music in the background. Dun, 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 dun.
The best quotes in that.
And then there was always the weird library, you know, like the book at the back of the library in the weird section. It was like, why Bigfoot is probably friends with Elvis. And so that was my introduction to conspiracy theories. So they were just harmless, crazy, unfalsifiable theories by madmen in America who thought that aliens were obsessed with their anuses for some reason.
It's like ancient history. The guy's like, now we're not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Yes.
Yeah. I was such a sucker for all that stuff, you know, like I used to go to the Oxfam bookshop, look for the secondhand books, go to the philosophy section, religion section. If there was something about like conspiracies or aliens, I'd just bag it up straight away. I used to find those DVDs as well, where it's like hours and hours of documentary about aliens. I just found it absolutely fascinating. I used to be really into conspiracies as well.
Yeah,
a lot through like YouTube, like the whole, you just watch this series of like 10 episodes and you have this intense music, like you should be like, oh, I just got to watch another one. It's like the early version of Netflix, but like less fun.
I did eat up that ancient alien stuff, I've got to admit, watching those programs, and then they would ask questions that they would then never answer throughout the whole episode.
Lots of question marks.
Yes. Leave it here. Was it aliens?
We're not saying anything. You decide. We're just asking these questions.
Yeah.
Right? It's that style of journalism where you're like, I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying do we know if he didn't do it?
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Actually, we're just asking the questions, you know. What about you, Moraine? Have you ever believed in any conspiracy theories?
Not really. I'm gonna be the voice of skepticism and reason.
Pure reason.
Boring.
What
No,
about
like-
Santa Claus?
So
Surely.
here's the thing for me. I entertain a lot of wild ideas, a lot, and I entertain them. But as long as it's the most logical explanation and theory that I've heard, fine. I'll adapt it as the one for now. And until a new theory, hypothesis comes in, better proven, I'll adopt to that. And that's science, I think. You know, it's iterative. So yeah, I'll go along with certain ideas, but with a very healthy dose of skepticism.
I mean,
And it needs to be the best proven one.
I kind of agree, because it's not a conspiracy theory if it's true, right? I mean,
exactly. There are
you
things true
can't
as well.
disprove the Nazis on the moon. I mean, they're out there. Don't ask
I'd like
me
to have a go.
We've seen it on film.
You've all
right?
seen that film, yeah. It's great. It's amazing.
It's just more likely they went to Argentina and escaped their war crimes there, right?
I think
More
you're
likely
right.
proven.
That's actually what happened.
The point you made there about changing your mind, I think, is the key one there. The ability to change your mind rather than just stick to that idea, double down on it is the key.
The danger is when you said, "Oh, yeah, but the logical ones," because everyone thinks their idea they've come to logically, right? No one's like, "No, this is illogical," which is why I believe. Keep them guessing. Got to keep them guessing.
Definitely.
Because the thing about conspiracy theories is that the people who genuinely believe in them, they don't tend to be idiots. They tend to be quite intelligent people, or people with lots of imagination, obviously. But it's not like, I'm so stupid, I believe in conspiracy theories. It's more like, I'm a little bit too clever, I'm questioning things a little bit too much, which then leads you into all these pathways on the internet where you meet a whole bunch of other people who reinforce your beliefs that, no, we also believe the same thing. Also, have you heard about this? And just creates this network.
Well, the Royal Society's motto is "on no one's word," right? Science is based on don't take things on assumption, don't take things on belief, right? So there is
The argument of authority,
there's a key to reason, to rationalism, and not accepting something just because the ancients told you it was so. So you need to have that curiosity and question things. But one man's conspiracy theory is another man's yet to be uncovered truth, right?
But just finding the polar opposites, just finding something else that isn't what the mainstream think isn't enough. You do need to read down into it and check the links, and have a Google down to the 5th page, not maybe the first, just to kind of check it's not complete, codswallop.
I think that's the main thing that's changed for me. Like, I used to love all these theories, and I basically believed in like the moon was a hoax and all this stuff.
The moon.
Chemtrail. The moon was a hoax. Have you not heard that one?
In itself.
Like, that's my favourite one.
I have heard that.
And the hollow Earth. That's amazing. That's like inside the Earth. It's empty. I loved all that stuff. But that's basically what I didn't do, Johnny. I didn't like actually look into the science at all, and I just thought, it's cool to believe it. And then like using sort of mental gymnastics to kind of like just have fun with people. And I think I also did it a bit to mess with people's heads. Do you know what I mean? Just being a bit of a sort of joker and a bit of a controversialist.
Well, that's what.
So it wasn't serious for you, Finn?
No, it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It was like a mix.
There's that boundary between just accepting everything you hear and then having like a little bit of critical thought. Like, yes, obviously the government wouldn't lie to us. Why would the government lie to us? They love us. Why would they fake anything? Why would the media lie to us? Why would the internet lie to us? I mean, you need to have a little bit of skepticism, but you can't go too far, because then you start questioning everything. And I believe that is where the flat Earth movement comes from, is people who have just gone so far that literally everything is questioned, including the sphere they are standing on.
Finn said some of it was jokes, right? And some of it was pranks. And I think I get the impression a lot of the original flat earthers were just seeing what you could argue just to troll on the internet.
It isn't an easy thing to actually prove that the Earth is a big sphere in space. I mean, how many of us here could actually prove it right now?
Something
They did
to
an
do with like
experiment, though, didn't
shadows.
they?
Yeah,
Has anyone
Toby's on
seen that
one.
documentary? But behind the
Which
curve?
QI?
Yeah, I did.
And then they ended up proving that it was the Earth was round.
Yes.
And then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to go back to the drawing
Relief
board."
to hear.
They shot a laser across a lake and said that it would be flat on the other side, and it happened to be about 25 foot off of the lake floor.
Oh, did you hear the guy who used to send himself up in a rocket? He died
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, and it's sad.
Wow.
I mean,
Yes.
Did he
Gravity
die,
got the
or was
better
he
of him.
Killed like a globe.
Seth Brannigan, you defeat me again, gravity.
Isn't this all a matter of suspicion, right? The more suspicious you are of the stories that are being told to you by other people, the more you'll go into the very deep end of conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can say, I do not trust rocket cameras that are being sent up into the air and the live feeds that we're getting from them. I mean, we've seen a Tesla rocket go up in the air, launching a Tesla Roadster with a live cam, live streaming this footage back to Earth. And it's like, do you not even trust that it is possible? Because the alternative to trust that this can be CGI created is even quite a bit more difficult.
Is it an anti-establishment point of view? Is it?
Yeah.
It is a suspicion of the establishment. Yeah.
The erosion of
That's how a
trust
lot of
in the
people get
media,
into it.
the government, the everything, right? The thing is, I'm so cynical. I just don't see where the profit motive is, and I see things in very flat terms.
Yeah.
And like, who are these
Where's the
people
money?
who are
Where's the money?
faking CGI of magma coming out of the Earth to pretend that the Earth isn't hollow? I just don't see why you'd bother.
Oh, for the profit motive, you could still believe in the moon landing being fake, because there was a profit motive there.
Was there though?
It's
But
cheaper.
the cost of faking it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I say, it's cheaper to involve all these people and then, I don't know, having them all shot after you've recorded it. Just keep the secret. I don't know.
Well, apparently it'd be more expensive to fake it in the 60s than it would be to actually send people to the moon.
Really?
Someone's done that. I haven't fully gone through the math, but I think someone's done it.
Could be. But we'd be able to tell with the advance in technology. It's like everyone's played a computer game that's 10 years old, and you're like, the graphics are whack on that. We'd be looking back at the moon landing videos, being like, that is such crap CGI.
Although, have you
But
seen?
we're not. We're
you
just
seen-
like, oh, it's an old video.
But those videos, they look grainy and crap. I mean, it looks like they were filmed on the moon.
From the moon.
Yeah. But it was filmed on the moon.
Really,
That's right.
really crap CGI.
Well, I know there's some people that have done studies on like the critical mass of keeping a lie. You know, how many people have to be involved before someone's gonna, tell the tea lady and she's gonna, leak it out somewhere. And you can't have NASA and Rocketdyne and Jet Propulsion Labs and pretty much the whole of the US government and a load of other people's wives all keeping the secret and then not leaked out.
How was your day, honey? Oh God, just filming so many fake moon landings. Gonna have to kill you now. Sorry.
Because so many conspiracy theories require sort of government efficiency. That is just not reality.
That's the tragedy, right? Like no one believes that a government could be that effective.
No, they try their schemes and then they fuck up a bit and then they try another scheme. Sure, this happens. This is reality. We've got the documented proof for it. But on the scale that conspiracy theorists like to argue, I doubt it for many things.
Just look at the amount of times they tried to kill Castro. I mean, that is a proper conspiracy, as in the government is conspiring to kill someone 150 odd times through poisoned cigars and all the rest of it, and failed every single time. But yeah.
Like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Did you hear actually that they were going to kill Hitler and they had multiple opportunities, and in the end, British intelligence decided that whoever would replace Hitler would be much more effective and competent as a leader, and Hitler would just end up this martyr figure. So they decided not to.
Wow. Makes sense.
Again, is that a conspiracy theory? Well, I read it somewhere and I trusted the source, but I don't remember it now. And now you guys have heard it and go, that sounds legit.
We're sort of like relaxed empiricists.
Yeah,
As Whaley says, well, we trust you and you said it, so it's probably true.
I completed Wolfenstein 3D. Now I'm regretting it.
Yes, now there'll be a sequel. It's all your fault.
You guys know about Rasputin, yeah? Like he was apparently, poisoned, stabbed, shot, thrown into the ice, came back to a zombie, killed again, all the rest of it.
I just thought that was Russian hardiness.
Yeah, exactly. So that's apparently the lie perpetuated by the British intelligence agency, who probably killed him, who probably just took him around the back of the house and shot him in the neck, and then just spread this crazy story, because people will remember and believe a crazy story about this Russian guy who didn't die than the fact that the British government needed to kill someone who was stopping Russia from either entering or getting out to the First World War.
So I guess it's determined by your
Something to
personality,
do with war, I
because
can't quite remember. But
as a person, I would rather believe the mundane story than the elaborate myth that is created. But other people would maybe rather believe the elaborate myth than the mundane story.
it's easier to remember the myth because it's a fanciful tale.
On Rasputin, I did hear a very strange one, that his doctor was in part due to part of that. The fact that his doctor really, really hated him and basically kept giving him these really weird remedies to fixing all these weird problems, like telling him that, go home and sleep in a bed that was soaked wet and wear wet socks and have a shower before you go to bed, so you'd almost wake up with pneumonia, all because he just absolutely hated the bloke.
Just
Probably
sounds
fucked his
Russian,
wife.
though.
I think that might have had something to do with it.
Outrageous aspersions to cast. You need to prove such slander.
Not in this day and age.
Rasputin's lawyers, oh God, they'll be on us.
Which in a way is an interesting bridge, by the way, to the anti-vaxxer movement, right? Because when you're talking about the Rasputin age, medical science wasn't that farly advanced. We had a lot of trick healing. Nowadays, we have fairly advanced medicine. There's a lot less trick healing, at least I would think so. But then you still have people that assume that vaccinations are there to control people and make people sick rather than to heal people.
Yes, and this is where conspiracy theories go from a bit of fun, right? Bigfoot and Elvis chilling out in a spaceship, to people start dying. And I think the concern is that you used to have, every village, like the joke about Joe Rogan, that, we all used to, when we grew up, it was someone's older brother was the Joe Rogan type, who'd be like smoking weed and hanging out with his younger brother's friends and go, did you guys know, like, the CIA killed Kennedy, right? And that's harmless. The problem is now that those people aren't isolated in their madness, and they form groups on Facebook, and they all agree with each other, and then they all share stuff that validates their paranoia and their suspicions about the world, and then you end up with quite preventable diseases come back in America.
So I assume you're talking about the current measles outbreak.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But that's also, there's a little bit of popular culture in that as well. And it's trendy as well with the anti-vax thing. It's, and when you've got big Hollywood types pushing it, because, they're all medical experts and have spent a long time at university getting, immunology expertise to kind of inform the nation about how these anti-vaccinations are bad for you.
Well, this is
the
it.
question becomes like, what percentage of the population is susceptible to anti-vaxxers, and is that does that still give us herd immunity if those people don't vaccinate? Do you know what I mean?
Herd immunity depends. It depends on the virus. It's anywhere between 98% and 80%, depending on the virus.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about anti-vaxxers is it's not a modern phenomenon. Like it's been around since vaccines, basically. Even back in the 1800s, you had people who were anti-vaxxers, and it was usually, as is today, actually, an argument about civil liberties, or the fact that the government can't tell me what to do. And that argument has kind of just survived. But you can kind of forgive people in the 1800s because, it's the 1800s. But people in 2020 refusing to vaccinate little Quentin and jeopardizing us all is just crazy. And now with Corona, if we're getting a vaccine coming out now, how many people is going to be like, no. Bill Gates is putting 5G in my vaccine.
There'll be some. They burned down 2 5G masts here in the Netherlands because they're scared that it's spreading Corona.
Has it stopped the Corona outbreak?
No, of course not.
Ah,
They didn't get them all,
disappointing.
Chris. They need
If
to
it
get
only was that easy. No, but I agree with the standpoint, the civil liberty standpoint. I do feel that you should be allowed to refuse a vaccine. It cannot be government mandated.
But what if you
I disagree
refuse
with
it
that.
and you stop herd immunity working? Then
You need 100%
it's not
herd
your.
immunity.
Huh?
Do you need 100% herd immunity?
Sometimes
No, but you
up to
need
95%.
close, but
You
you
need-
can't
you need
you
pretty
can't
high.
refuse it, because then you will be giving the space for a vector for the vaccine. You're actually, it's a flip. By saying it's my civil liberty, you're actually affecting everyone else's.
There's positive and negative freedom, isn't it? It's freedom to say, I don't
Well-
want to have a vaccine, or negative freedom, being free from having this disease come back to existence again.
But
You've got to
this
choose between the two, right?
the rabbit hole goes deep because this current virus comes from meat eating, from animal markets. Can vegans say the rest of the world are violating our civil liberties because they're eating meat
Some
and
are.
therefore heightening the chance of viral outbreaks?
Are they actually, Chris? That is amazing.
Of course.
I haven't
You've not
seen
been
that,
on
although I
Twitter.
need
Yeah, some are.
That is
But
brilliant.
the thing is, there are some vegans who are like, there's apparently quite a lot of anti-vaxxers in the whole vegan thing.
Shocking.
That's really
Yeah.
like, it's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it comes
Like,
from
you
animals,
think
doesn't
it's
it,
a
vaccines?
I think the
logical
anti-vaxxer-
position, you know, that
Anti-vaxxer captures the imagination because it's not stupid lower class people thinking stupid things. The point is, it's born of middle class arrogance. Oh yeah, the doctor would say that, wouldn't he? But he doesn't know
Right.
what's best. I know what's best. I studied philosophy at Reading. So.
I was going to study philosophy.
not
but
even
I
that.
didn't.
I read a blog. I read a mother's blog, and Karen told me that they put all these things in the vaccines, and no, Quentin can't have it.
But where does it really
Paltrow
come
knows
from?
best.
Where does it really come from? Johnny, you were going to talk about this maybe a little bit, is the people who benefit from various conspiracy theories, like with vaccination and autism, for example. There's a guy called Andrew Wakefield, I think, who claimed that vaccines cause autism. And basically he was selling a book saying like how to avoid autism and vaccination. So obviously like there's the reason why he started it, and then loads of people have bought into it, and then that myth sort of is pervaded.
But he also, I believe, had another similar drug to sell in the same line of it. But it's the same point. It's the snake oil salesman basically. It's I did a bit of digging today specifically on the 5G area, just to kind of follow down Merrin's rabbit hole to see where it would take me. And I think every single one took me to a blog that had adverts on, or at the very least, or took me to a shop that could sell me something to actually prevent the spread of 5G in my house or around my body.
And you bought all of them.
Oh yeah.
Just to test it, scientific purposes.
Yeah, some of them are pretty. Well, these things weren't cheap. So on one website I found, I managed to find three devices. One was a necklace for $70. It had a little printed circuit board on it. No idea what it did. Another one was what looked like a CD-ROM that you stuck to the wall. That's $200. And the last one was a plug-in Wi-Fi or 5G dampening device that was $400.
Yeah, that's just paying to make your internet go slow. That's just stupid. Do you know what I mean?
It was.
Everyone else is doing the opposite, paying more to make it go faster.
It was very. It was very, very funny. Very, very funny. So it was brilliant. Brilliant quotes on some of these items that I actually managed to pick out, and I will read them to you very badly. And then if you guys want to see what's wrong about these statements, and let me know.
Oh, this is a fun quiz. Okay.
It's like a quiz, yeah.
It's interactive. Answers on a postcard. So the main tagline when you get to this website, which they were selling it, is actually taken from a book by someone else that was trying to say that mobile phones were bad. And this was back in the 3G beginning turn of the century, 2003 kind of time. And one of the taglines in his book is, he says, you are exposed to 100 million times more electromagnetic fields, and it has closed brackets, EMFs, than your grandparents were. And what do you think is wrong with that statement?
There wasn't any 3G when our grandparents was alive.
I'm targeting the EMFs part
Yeah,
of it.
the fact that that's even a measurable thing,
Yeah.
is very much doubt.
Oh yeah.
Like I've been
It's
to
a
a
field, so you can't
I
measure it.
once went to a spiritual community, and one of the disciples told me, "Our master radiates with the energy of 1,000,000 light bulbs." And I was like, "Why not 1,000,001?" Right? How
Don't
did
make it
you
ridiculous.
measure it was 1,000,000 exactly,
These
or did
energy
you just
efficient
pull
light
this number
bulbs,
out
or-
of your ass? And that's what I get with these type of statements. Like, how
Well-
the hell you pull that number out of your ass?
Yeah, exactly. One, it's pulled out your ass, and two, they've used EMFs, which is not an actual unit of measure. You know, electromagnetic fields are a thing. They're not, you know, like a scalar quantity.
Yeah, you don't measure it.
The next one, the
We
EMF.
passed 1 out of 3, guys. Well done.
Yeah,
Come on.
well done, well done. I'll be passing scores around at the end. So next one. The EMF adapter uses buildings' electrical circuitry to send a corrective, harmonizing resonant signal through the wiring of the entire space. So this is for the most expensive.
I don't know what that means.
One, yeah, it's one that's absolute techno babble. Yeah,
What is the
Harmonizing
expensive
resonance.
space?
yeah. Wiring of the So basically, it's using corrective harmonizing resonant signals. I mean,
Correcting
your
what?
5G is just a signal. So what's wrong with your new signal? Is that, you know, what's so
Right.
special about yours opposed to the other one? Yours is harmonizing and corrective, whereas 5G's, you know, bad, big pharma and big industry.
Because yours is just made out of pure tinfoil, surely.
Well, we'll get to that one. This is the brilliant bit. This is the crux of it here. So the testimonials to these products here was just I fell off my chair reading this one. So there's no current EMF meter that is sensitive enough to measure the effect of safe space devices, which is the name of the company. So there is no even on their own website they say there's no detector that is sensitive enough to actually detect what the fuck these things are doing. So I assume that probably they're not doing anything. So the only thing they can do is testing can be used to show the changed field effects on the body. So that's why they use DNA sampling to test whether these things are working on people, when it was actually breaking down people's DNA and changing it.
And they've been able to prove that the 5G, when this box is in the room, isn't breaking people's DNA.
Bingo.
They're accidentally proving that 5G isn't causing any problems whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they've also put in the same space that they have a 30-day return policy. Now I know it roughly takes you about 6 weeks to get a DNA sample back. So if you want to test this out, you're not going to get your $400 back.
Johnny, if you don't test it out, though, you're not being scientific.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on,
true.
man.
So
Well,
you're going to have to buy the product.
I've bought you all one, and it's in the post.
Thank you. I'll give you an update on my DNA and how that's 5G-ifying.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always a route to sell you something, and it's always, frankly, bloody expensive and covered in absolute techno babble and lies. And I found this site by going through a blog and through very, very simply Googling how to protect myself from 5G. And one of the number 1 or 2 on this list of 8 things you could do was go to our website and buy one of these things. The first one was things like mindfulness, and then it was eating healthy, like organic foods, and then there was this one got me brilliantly, was getting enough sunlight, because the one thing about sunlight is it's got a lot of
definitely not
UV
radiation,
in it.
is it?
Yeah, a lot of UV in it, which happens to be actual ionizing radiation that does actually give you cancer, whereas 5G's down in the kind of microwaves that just, you know, heats you up like a bag of water rather than does any damage to you.
Okay, right.
That's amazing.
Because I didn't actually read up about 5G at all. But what is it? I have 4G on my phone. I have 4G on my phone. Is 5G a little bit better?
Yes, exactly that. So you had 3G many years ago. Then you had 4G, and that was what started something called the long-term evolution of telecoms. And the difference between 3G and 4G was an actual step in the way that they encoded the data and put the signals over the networks. 5G is such a baby step compared to 4G. It's the same protocols. All it adds is things like internet, you know, IP. It adds in wider bandwidths, more data rate, but it fundamentally does exactly the same things in terms of technology as it did before for anything that's going to hurt you, unless 10 megabits per second over 2 megabits per second hurts you more than it does otherwise. So there's barely anything.
Isn't the real conspiracy with 5G that it's not going to work well in cities at all, but governments are going to spend loads of money investing in the infrastructure anyway?
Should be all right.
I've heard the wavelength's too short. It doesn't really work around corners, and what we're going to end up with is us investing loads in it for private companies to benefit. This is my
sounds plausible
on everything. So government invests in the infrastructure so that some companies can profit, and it won't be as good as promised.
When you get to like 7 gigs of frequency, you generally can't go around a corner, and 5G kind of goes up to 28 and a tiny bit higher. But it's by increasing the frequency, you increase the data rate, but then you also have to increase the number of antennas, the number of access points you get to. And that's the idea, is the fact that you're going to be seeing pretty much every lamp post with an antenna on it. And that's the way people want it. If you want to connect more devices and get your Netflix mirroring so you can down watch it even quicker, then you need to have all of these access points for all of the random little different things you've got connected.
Which is why it's massively expensive, which is why we're willing to sell our data to China if they'll build it on the cheap.
Well, the funny thing is that between a 4G and a 5G base station, there isn't actually really any difference. It's all protocol. So all of these 5G base stations that they're saying they're going to be building everywhere are already there. They're the 4G base stations.
Is it just a software upgrade then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
And then some.
And if you're expansion of the network,
right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Expansion of the network plus a software upgrade.
It's more. You just need more antennas if you're going to go real high frequency. But if you're going to stay in the same frequency that you're already operating at, then it's just a protocol. It's just updating a protocol. And the only problem is if you go to these higher data rates, you get more error and you get more loss. So it's a trade-off. Most of them won't go to it. Most of them will just go. I mean, you could still connect to 5G now on the same hardware we've got around with the same speed. It's just a new protocol. It's like IPv4 over IPv6. It's just a different handshake. So,
but in that case, why all the resistance? Why this massive conspiracy around it? If it's just a simple upgrade,
because people are always scared of something new.
Yeah,
and never talking. Right? And then they're never talking about the things that actually do matter, right? Because we do want to have more interactivity, more connectivity. What we don't want is our data to be shared across capitalism, across governments. We want data security. How much are we talking about data security? A lot less sometimes that we're talking about the conspiracy theory, right? So
that's the interesting one as well.
Distracting us from the real subject.
We give all of our data for free to Google, Facebook. As soon as a Chinese company gets involved with it, we're like, what? No, they'll abuse our data. And you're like, but how?
Well, we can change those protocols as well that we have.
How many dick pics do the Chinese military government want from me? I don't understand their engagement.
It's just to make their army angrier.
Look
what the West has.
Data's a really quite incredible thing. I did a project with Facebook about 4 years ago, and they were using the data from people connecting and disconnecting from their Facebook website to tell, and then mapping it onto the Bay Area to see where they had black spots in their mobile signal. And then selling that data back to the telecoms companies to say, right, okay, if you go and put and they were overlaying it on that Bing 3D map where you can actually see antennas and mobile phone masts and everything else or lamp posts that would just be populated, and they would just all through AI and machine learning would just kind of say, oh, if you put all these different antennas here and here and here, it'll be optimized by X amount. And they were selling all of that back, and that was all just from data of people disconnecting from Facebook as they were walking around.
So I think that's
cool,
fine,
because that's going to give us better service, right? Yeah. It's the leaks
the problem is with your personal data, which I would advocate. They have this solution where you keep your personal data separately. They can connect with your personal data. They can do an AP call, but they cannot store your personal data. Your personal data will always be stored in one location, and they can only do calls to that location to get it. well, they will never save it locally anywhere else.
Everything Johnny just described, like this data works really well when the whole thing is just mapped together. And then they can do really powerful automated calls and be like, so they don't know, we can't imagine how many companies need what data for what, right? But when there's no limits and it's all connected, they can just run a search and be like, cool, you should build a gay bar on this corner because there's a lot of guys meeting. Like, then go for a drink if you built one there, right? Like, and on that thing, you guys heard about a Chinese company acquiring Grindr. And that being, so a Chinese company acquired Grindr, and the US government stopped it. Literally after it happened, said, no, roll back, antitrust, right? We're going to undo that acquisition because we don't want the Chinese government, and companies and government in China are obviously as blended as they could be. But that data would be very useful for blackmail purposes, right? Knowing which senators were meeting which guys.
I was wondering whether America hadn't been, looking at their assets properly. I didn't realize that gays were now, it's like there's a Federal Reserve, then they have the gay people. I didn't realize they're such a big asset. But
they are.
What you're talking about.
They're fabulous. They're worth so much money.
True,
the Chinese are trying to steal them.
But again, the problem with this is that data is stored locally everywhere, right? Companies are allowed to store, Grindr is allowed to store their user data on their own servers. The user data is not stored on the user server where Grindr will have to do a call. And if you decide as your server, your own private server, I delete data or I withdraw your permission to do a call to my data, and you have it all locally on your own, which is, I think, where it should go. But instead, companies have data everywhere, like everywhere. Data... Your name is in Excel sheets scattered around so many places.
Your data's got to be in the cloud somewhere up in there. Because, say, for example, every time you open Grindr, you had to fill your profile in. That's going to get fucking annoying.
Yeah, sure.
If anyone tries to close down like an MSN...
Then I have billing data. The billing data will be stored somewhere else. And... data is reproduced so many times within a certain company, and much of it is lost track of. GDPR is a step in the right direction. Many companies freaked out because, you have to be accountable for where you even store your data. That's a new step. Be accountable for where the hell people's names and phone numbers and addresses and male, female, and everything.
Of location, because you can't
where it's all stored,
where people are, right?
It's a good step, but it's still stored on company servers, and you're still at the mercy of every single company. And the U.S. government will have to stop Grindr, but they'll have to stop every individual case of it. Whereas it should be private owned. It should be on your own local server.
Private or whatever, it's still hackable. All of it's all hackable. It's still exactly the same problem.
Stop putting things on the internet.
It feels autonomous, right? Like it's like, I've my freedom, but it's all very vulnerable.
But then hacking is against the law, right? And if we found out hacking, then
sorry.
Yeah, and that'll stop the criminals.
It still won't stop it. It still won't stop. We can't stop the Russian hackers from doing their Russian hacking thing. We hack them back, right?
Yeah, we are at war, aren't we?
The trick is just never become important.
Then we're fine.
No,
then we'll be protected.
Are we at war with Russia, or is that just bigging it up? So I've heard two very different accounts on this. One which says that it's completely overblown. If you look at what Russia spent on manipulating the American elections compared to what American companies spend on manipulating American elections, pales in comparison. In fact, apparently Hillary Clinton's campaign paid more to promote Donald Trump during the Republican primaries than Donald Trump did, than anyone else did, right? And that's not a conspiracy. That's a verifiable fact that I've read in the New York Times. Right? So at what point is fear of Russia, fear of China, just crazy paranoid conspiracy theory? Where's it verifiable? And how do we tell the difference?
So Russia it depends how seriously you're taking Dugin. either they are currently attempting to exercise enough soft power to destabilize the West. So you can look at Brexit and the 2016 election as examples of Russia trying to destabilize things. Now, I don't. It's definitely true that they were involved in 2016 American election. The Mueller report lays all this out. Even Obama knew about this. He expelled the Russian agents as soon as he
It's
found out about
verifiable.
it. But the Russians weren't directly communicating with Trump. Now, the really fascinating aspect of this entire story is how well Trump was able to crush, or rather William Barr was able to just bury the report, which laid out how the GRU worked together with the Internet Research Agency, how they, since 2014, were traveling to America. They were taking pictures in America in order to build these very, very kind of believable profiles. And this wasn't just like off-the-cuff trolling. They were genuinely involved in trying to destabilize the US election because, it's Russia. They're rivals to America. I mean, they're not our friends. No offense to our Russian listeners, but the government.
I'm not American.
I do think there is an element, though, of a bunch of people who were, part of the Democrat establishment, and they were all friends with each other on Facebook and LinkedIn, and they're all in the same groups, and they were like shocked that Hillary Clinton lost the election, and anyone else who wasn't a Hillary Clinton fan was like, how did you not see that coming? Is that really a Russian conspiracy?
But you're conflating the impact. You're saying it didn't have an impact and Hillary was going to lose anyway. But we have verifiable evidence that the Russians are meddling severely in the internet through automated algorithms. And we notice the Dutch government hackers, because we in the Dutch government Secret Service have hackers, they hacked into a Russian operation in Moscow and have been observing that for years, right? So then it becomes, do you not believe in our government Secret Service? Fine, you can say maybe for you the Dutch government is not reliable or trustworthy, but it's interesting to me that people think, oh, we've already won from Russia. We beat Russia. The West beat Russia years ago. They're not a worry.
Well, they're not rolling tanks
not.
into countries.
No, but they got very smart hackers. They got very, very fucking smart hackers.
I believe that the Russians, what the main objective is the dissolution of the EU. And they believe that Brexit was a step in that. And it's a part of dissolving NATO, because NATO is obviously the largest military threat to Russia. If NATO was dissolved, that would mean that they could reassert dominance in the Baltic states.
So all of those needs and fears and like rationalizations for why Russia would do that, I understand, until you look at it. What did the EU do to stop them invading Ukraine? Nothing. Just
a few sanctions, wasn't it?
We wrote them many angry letters,
very angry emails, which they read before we hit send.
Basically, you're saying Russia is doing what they're doing the right thing for them.
Every country's doing that as well, though. Like, have we not known that America's been doing this for years? Do we not think that the British Secret Service aren't fucking with other countries' economies and elections?
Not at all.
Definitely
I just rather have. I rather had America as our friend than Putin or Xi Jinping.
I'm going to disagree. I support our glorious future Chinese.
But what makes this conspiracy theory any better than any other ones? Because it is, at the end of the day, a conspiracy theory. These things, Cambridge Analytica, they're all effectively conspiracy theories until somebody comes out and really fundamentally proves it's happening, or we see some false effect from it. But
and what's bothered me is I've read somewhere, and I think it is a conservative talking point to back down the idea that Russia fucked with Trump winning the election and that writes off the election, we should look into it. And it's this talking point I've heard enough, and I didn't. I just heard it enough, and like I said, I wasn't a particular fan of Hillary, so I bought it, and I've been rattling around in my head for a few years. But it was only when talking to Toby I realised that the scale of the Russian troll operation is quite a well-funded thing. It's not just a one vague operation somewhere, right?
Exactly. It is linked with the Kremlin. I mean, it's working in tangent with the GRU. And I think the problem what happened in America with the Russia story is that the liberals basically believed that it was a magic bullet that was going to get rid of Trump. And they didn't foresee the fact that Trump could just, or rather the Republicans could just completely disregard the Mueller report, which was damning. Like the Mueller report itself, it lays out criminal charges against the president, but it was a puff of smoke. It just didn't do anything. But something which you pointed out, Johnny, wasn't there meant to be an investigation in the UK as well into Brexit?
Yeah, I think they did call on something. They did suggest something from a troll farm, but that in Cambridge Analytica, they have suggested it, but I haven't seen anything about it.
But didn't Boris Johnson basically just say that no, we're not going to do an investigation into Russia, or we're not going to release results?
They
did the report, but they haven't released the results. They
weren't going to do it ahead of Brexit.
Isn't that surprising though? And now we have Corona; it's going to be forgotten anyway.
Yeah,
but with Cambridge Analytica, we have whistleblowers. So do you believe the people that are still in the company, or do you believe the people that came out of the company? And it's the same with Scientology, right? Do you believe the story of Scientology, or do you believe the people that left Scientology and are saying, well, this is quite an abusive cult, people be warned? I tend to lean to the people that leave.
Because why would they just make that up? Do you know what I mean? What have they got to gain from it?
Right.
Maybe some legal damages? Yeah, maybe.
But isn't the story like the story isn't did Cambridge Analytica determine the elections? I think the story is, did it have an influence? Yes, it had an influence. Did Russian algorithm and hackers had an influence? Yes, it had an influence. And we're living in a new time where things have an influence that we're not fully understanding having an influence on us, which is the broader story.
We're talking about things that we fundamentally believe are true and are having an effect. But if you just took a few of those factoids out of them, they would instantly become a conspiracy theory, wouldn't they? They would be, because they're unfounded, or because we don't wholeheartedly believe them to be actually what's happening, and because we're crackpots wearing anoraks living in our mum's basement, that makes it a conspiracy theory. What makes a fundamental crazy thing that's happening, like, fuck, these guys are absolutely undermining all of our rights and liberties, versus the crazy conspiracy theories of JFK got shot by a magic bouncing bullet, or
objective proper journalism. And unfortunately we have lost faith in that too. And that's the funny thing, is that when the Russians do something, most of the population, at least publicly, toes the party line and accepts it. When the story came out that the moon landing was fake, all of Russia went, yeah, it was. And 30% of America went, yeah, sounds legit too. This is the problem. We live in very free-thinking, independent countries that don't support authority, that don't want to believe the government. So, yeah, fuck you, government. Like, I didn't vote for you dickheads anyway, right? Like, so we are so willing and ready to not believe the hype. And I think that's a healthy thing, but it's exactly what makes it so easy for Russian disinformation to work on us, because we're already ready not to fucking accept anything the government tells us, or the media.
We do roll over and take it. I mean, remember the expenses scandal 2, 3, 4 years ago? That went quite...
Well, 2008.
Yeah, it was a long time ago then.
I mean,
exactly.
Now,
nothing happened.
During this lockdown now, the UK MPs are taking an extra 10 grand for working from home.
Yeah, it's more expensive working from home.
I don't get another 10 grand from working from home.
We should be protesting in the streets. Oh no, don't do that.
Oh no, can't do that. Well, let's protest.
Stay at home.
No, there's been online protests though.
So the absolute amazing thing is that if the conspiracy theories are actually correct, now is a perfect time to be clamping down on civil liberties. Like, there's no public assembly. The government's basically just mandating, okay, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. A lot of people are like, well, it's for the public health, it's for the public good. Like, now, if they were correct, now is the perfect time to just start slashing the constitution, start cracking down things. But
wait. That is not happening over there? Because that is happening over here.
No, but it's
not, honestly, no. I don't know if you've heard, but
it's not happening in Sweden. That's the thing. We are like the only country in Europe where we're not putting in draconian measures.
I don't know about UK. I don't know about Spain, but they've announced here they're going to install an app on every phone tracking people if they have corona or not. This is not private data
Really?
anymore. Privacy has been Corona, privacy, Corona. Privacy gone. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's the reason that I think that
Official
comes about.
government.
South Korea did exactly the same thing, and it worked really well.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
but your privacy's gone, right? This is
Yeah.
the first step towards like privacy doesn't matter. This is more
Yeah, but we
important.
can't be trusted, can we? in the UK, they basically said, "Oh, please don't go out. Please don't." And we went, well, fuck you. And then we went out anyway. And they were like, "Look, we asked nicely. Now we're going to come around with some bobbies and tell you again nicely not to do it."
Yeah, the police are politely asking people to go home. Like we just overtook Italy, right? And I'm still seeing thousands of people outside, right? Like in London was full. On my way out of London, I escaped London, moved to the country, and just driving through London, busy as hell. Once I got out of London, people listened a bit better until bank holiday, Easter weekend, sunny day. And I'm in a very rural area. I walked out my front gate. I saw 10 people on the road. I was like, fuck this. Went back inside. Like, people don't listen. And ideally, you'd be like, just stay inside, and people would. And this is the tragic thing. We're so cynical and skeptical. We hate this idea of our phone data being tracked. But what better way of making isolation focused on the people that are most likely to be infected, rather than tell everyone to stay at home needlessly?
I can't believe this. It's like I'm seeing people advocating for the Chinese surveillance state.
Yeah, and look at
It's just
China.
really what Corona is giving us. You're all just adapting it now. It's like, okay, just give us our surveillance state overlords.
Hasn't it? It's always been like a trade-off between like convenience and how much privacy do you want to sacrifice. It's like in Spain, there's no like apps being installed in your phone. It's just like you can't fucking go outside. Like you have to stay inside. As simple as that. And they don't trust the people because, like, you know, Spanish. I don't know if you know what Spanish people are like, but you give them an inch and they'll be outside all day in the sun. Do you know what I mean? They're kissing. So they're just like, nah, this ain't gonna work. So just lock everyone down, and that sucks. But that's what you got to put up with. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in Holland, it's a bit freer. Like you can go out, but no group meetings. And in the UK, it's similar. Like, okay, you can go out half an hour exercise every day.
Yes.
But it's all a balance, isn't it? It's like, how much do you want to trade off? In South Korea, they installed the app, like you say, Marlene and Johnny, and it's been really super effective. And then hopefully they'll just deinstall the app, and then it hasn't harvested any of your data.
Guys, I think Johnny alluded to this. It's not going to be an app, because if you trusted people to download the app, they fucking wouldn't. So it's just going to be the switch that the GCHQ already has. It's going to also be accessible.
It's going to be a little chip that's going to be in the corona vaccine that's going to be transmitted into your bloodstream via the 5G masts.
Well, you've all unfortunately already got one. SIM cards in your phone are actually a very, very small programmable set of thing that you can run software on. So the network can sideload anything onto your phone at any point it wants.
So, guys, as I said, in Sweden, we haven't imposed any draconian measures whatsoever. We're doing like complete opposite to the rest of Europe, at least, possibly the world. I don't know. So if you guys fall under like a hellish police state, I'll let you know, because you guys might not be with it, but I'll let you know, because hopefully we'll still have free media here.
I haven't been outside for a month.
Please do.
Don't think we are.
Sweden's everyone's like 2 kilometers apart, let alone 2 meters. So they don't need
It's
to impose
easier,
anything.
right? Yeah.
This is very true. Like the reason why it's all gone dark here is because we haven't invented electricity yet.
It's the Iron Curtain coming over from Russia.
It's funny. Here's you people for the first time. You hear them say, "Ooh, Holland really is one of the most populated countries in the world, isn't it?" Shit, there's so many people around me, so close by.
So close, yeah.
What am I gonna do? Never heard this before.
Actually, I just realized, because I'm in our capital and I'm just surrounded by forest. I think,
Really?
you might have a good point.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
It's just forest everywhere. I mean, I got some neighbors and there's a lake down there, but I'm in the capital.
There's a lake in the capital. Yeah, says everything.
There's many lakes. It's built on. It's like the Venice of the North. But yeah. I would say you guys should come visit, but apparently you're never going to be allowed. So
A virtual holiday or something. Do you know what I mean? Be a tour guide.
I can go there by boat. I can make it by boat.
right. So on top of investing in Zoom, I hope you guys invested in virtual reality goggles, because that's
I want to get some. It
Ah.
looks so cool.
I have got a set, and it is the next level. It is incredible. It's one of those things that you do and you go, I could get fit gaming. I really could. That knackering.
Which one you
so
have?
Cool.
The Facebook one. The Vive, I think. No, what was it? Oculus, that's the one.
Yeah, okay.
This is it. We're so skeptical of what government might do with our data, but we free.
Yeah, but we're like, give us a computer game. So have all my data. I don't care. Give me some virtual reality goggles.
I think it's because we trust the corporations, like that the only thing they're doing is just stealing our data for advertising. That's all they're doing. They just
That's it, right? We see where they're
advertising.
coming from, right? That's
They
the devil
want
we
money.
know. We know their game, right? I think this
To
is
make
why
money.
so many weird conspiracies come up. It's because you have to guess the other person's objectives, and especially like when we did the American episode, I think the problem with American foreign policy is it's so incoherent and self-destructive that it becomes you become like a crazy conspiracy theorist, like tying strings together on the wall, being like, what's the bigger picture here? It's like it's written by an idiot in crayon. I don't see the plan. I'm terrified. China even. I see where China's coming. That's why I'm not scared of giving our data to Huawei. I know what China wants. And this is why the
Money
biggest
and power.
conspiracy theory I've heard is that China has just won World War III without firing a single shot. So they released
that mean?
coronavirus, right? And now all the world's economies are tanking and China's doing fine. And you're like, that's you know, there's a lot to pick apart there. But the main thing I'll say is that it was always going to be that way. I can't imagine a global crisis that China wouldn't be better positioned to profit from, because China invests in infrastructure, science, and has the ability that when it tells its people stay the fuck inside, they're like, okay,
Stay inside or we'll shoot you.
yeah. Okay, that was a simple conversation. Right? Like,
Sure,
no
but
phones needed.
listen, not only that, but they can produce all they want. But if they can't logistically ship it to other countries and sell it to other people, they're not going to make any profit.
Yeah, we buy all
Yeah.
their stupid
Well,
tat, don't we?
Which is why I don't buy.
They need us.
Also, like, America's economy is so over leveraged, over financed. Like, they borrow so much money and to buy so much tat that they don't need, and they make money from making their own citizens further in debt. That it's a tinderbox, right? It's a stack of dominoes on a house of cards. All the bad metaphors mix, but there's no way any crisis could happen other than a massive war where America wouldn't end up massively impoverished because of it, and China wouldn't end up benefiting. And so I don't see the conspiracy there. It's all like just objectable fact that when it came to time to hunker down and time to where it was more about the good for the public rather than making short-term profit, well, of course China's doing better on that front. Like, that's what their economy's built around, is long-term, steady stability.
They were doing that before coronavirus, yeah. Nothing's changed. But I think the thing I'm picking up from what everyone is putting down here is really it's all the conspiracy theories seem to be hand in hand with profit or gain. There's never one that ever works when there's no party there really to profit from it, whether it's people's fear mongering to sell stupid devices or people twisting things to win elections, but there's always a gain tied into it.
Well, there's plenty of hugely anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, which is all about wiping out the white race so that Jews can win. But I don't think we should be going into those because they're really depressing.
Well, and they're not a very efficient fuel, as the Germans found out.
Fuck. Fuck. Oh, fuck.
Sorry, if Ricky Gervais can do it, then it's fine. Yeah.
But no, essentially, like the big conspiracy is usually money. Like who profits, as you said. Who profits?
Follow the
What
money.
about this whole idea of when people like see paranoia everywhere, because like some theories, like there's like, you could look at the strong and the weak argument for each of them, right? Like take 5G, and like the sort of basic thing is like, well, I'm a bit worried it might be bad for my health, which that's kind of reasonable. It's something new, we don't really know. And then the other one, which is like they are using 5G to do something malicious to everyone. And it's like,
And the
who are they? Who?
two intersect though through social media, right? So all
They
you have
do,
to
and
do
people
is click
jump
like
between them.
or share it and be like, I'm not saying this is fact, I'm just asking the questions, right? Back to the documentary from the 90s, right? Like,
Yeah, but it's the same thing.
if it was just the nutters who were good, this is definitely true, then it would quickly die out. These ideas take flight because the people that are curious and open to new ideas, which is a good thing, but liking it, and then they're turbocharged by the social media algorithm, which says, this is controversial, this might be of interest for you, here it is. And I think a lot of the problem is that this has been relatively new technology. We've watched it change in the last 2 years. Facebook has gone from being a breeding ground for Nazi propaganda, right? And some of the worst ideas, look at, is it Alex Jones, YouTube, and that whole debacle, right? To us finally getting, hang on it, if you share a stupid, even if you share a joke news article now, within an hour, Facebook has put a thing underneath it that says, this is probably bullshit. Like, that's improvement.
This is a
And
step
that
in the
must
right
be
direction.
crowdsourced. That must be crowdsourced as well, because they're not going to be able to. So there must be some people out there, because that's the problem is I remember actually catching my mother, of all people, sharing something that was actually linked to EDF in the UK, and it was just the headline that aligned with what her ideology was. This fits what I believe, and I clicked on it and I read it, and it actually turned out to be anti-Semitic and white, white power and everything else. I was just, FYI, mum, please don't be a Nazi. Please read what you post.
First, you got to ask them nicely.
That's our duty as children, is to not let our parents use social media. Naturally veer toward. I got to get my dad off Twitter. It's concerning.
So that's the thing, is this reading that headline and it aligning with you and not fact checking. So there must be enough, Facebook warriors out there that are doing that effort on the back of Facebook to check this stuff. The Snopes army.
I do get caught up in it though. That's definitely like a weakness of mine. Is that sometimes I just can't let it go. Do you know what I mean? I just see someone sharing some bullshit 5G thing, or do you know what I mean? Whatever it is, just some nonsense, and I can't just leave it and be like, it's fine, just ignore them and don't feed the trolls. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever, because maybe they're probably not trolls most of the time. Just don't comment on it, and then no one will see it.
Well, the danger,
and I can't not comment,
because even commenting "this is bullshit" gets that post seen by more people, because that's how
engagement. It's engagement.
Yeah.
I try my hardest to be a very gentle educator when I come across that shit, but it fucking boils my blood dealing with. That's the thing. We've talked about it before, but that the Dunning-Kruger effect, or what I call just enough information to be fucking dangerous. So there's this bell curve of people. So there was a test done by these two scientists that basically had people of all different skill levels, and it went from bugger all skill to leaders in their field, and the people that were leaders in their field thought they basically polled people after they'd done the test. How did you think you did in that test? And people that were leaders in their field went, do you know what, I think I did really fucking well because I'm a leader on my field. And actually they tend to be overestimates. People in the middle that were pretty good or above average would actually go, no, I don't know how I did, but actually would score really, really highly. And then you get down to the people we're talking about that basically don't know shit but think they know a lot and overestimate how the impact of what their knowledge is or how they can apply it. And I think that plays in quite a lot.
Yeah, basically exhausting arguing with them.
And those people got a big voice, right?
A couple of months ago, I started finding posts about people saying, "Oh, well, Hitler was a socialist." I'm like, well, no, he wasn't. I've studied a bit of history. Let me jump in here and write a couple of paragraphs.
It's in the name,
get into this, debates.
It?
Yeah. And then you see the same post, and then all these people, and then to now I see it, and I'm like, I don't want to argue with you. I
think
it's
that's
a filter, isn't it? There's two ways of looking at it. One is it's entertaining if you want to have an argument with someone, or gets
it's growing old. I think we've all sensed that, especially with the current lockdown. Social media's just lost its fun, its spark. Yeah. Everyone's complaining, and all the marketing people I know who advertise on social media, just metrics are down. Everyone's like, Yeah, you got on Facebook. Facebook used to be like your window to other people's lives. Now everyone's life is the same as yours. You're stuck indoors, bitching about people. Well, what's the point? Like, Facebook is just no longer functional. And also, by the way, probably like, what's the point in like Facebook's probably losing revenue as well because they can't track your data anymore. They already know your address, right?
Yeah, I know what you're doing.
They don't need an update of your GPS location. It's pretty predictable.
I started getting adverts for like new jobs in my area, as well as the dating apps. So I'm assuming that they're just thinking that I'm single and unemployed because I haven't left this house in 3 weeks.
Johnny, I can't wait to see what adverts you get after investigating this 5G stuff.
Well, yeah, actually, I without me, I'm not really a social media person. I don't really go on it, and without even searching for anything on the internet for this, when my wife was pregnant and started looking at things for babies and everything else and stuff like that, my adverts changed. I started getting pushed things for nappies and other things like that. It was fucking annoying because that's why I have it to track my adverts. I actually want adverts that relate to me. I don't want stuff that I don't care about.
Right.
I quite like it when a cool Rick and Morty T-shirt gets promoted
Exactly.
in an XXXL size. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'll buy that.
So when my computer started asking me every single time, like, "Hi, do you want tailor-made ads just for you?" I just said no to all of them. And what happened was that every single ad I got was for Ancient Aliens, VPN, and tinfoil. So obviously they know what I want.
If you don't click yes, they'll push
yeah.
the conspiracy stuff on you.
And they're like, "Oh, I see. You don't want the government tracking you. How about some VPN?"
Oh, I didn't see that. Back to,
There's a product for everyone. It's beautiful.
going back to the arguing with people on Facebook point. How many people have actually ever changed anyone's mind?
You can't ever tell though, can you? Because like maybe you have an argument with someone, but if you do change their mind, they're not going to tell you, and it's probably later on. Do you know what I mean? So maybe like years later when you see them, they might be like, "Actually, yeah, I did change."
You guys
Especially,
know, I spend more time arguing with people on Facebook than most people I know.
No, you fucking don't.
Arguing or trolling?
I can't remember whether I blocked you, Johnny, or you blocked me,
one,
but I'm
Johnny.
pretty sure me and Johnny are blocked on Facebook from one another.
That's a funny story, actually. You kept sending me advertisements, so I was just like, unsubscribe.
For this podcast, which you're now a guest on. And this is, you talk about people leave Scientology. If you notice, this podcast is getting bigger. No one's ever left it.
No one's ever left. That's it, Johnny. We've got you
There's
now.
no more windows popping up in the Zoom chat.
If you ever say a bad word about Beyond Binary, it will send an intimidating person to follow you around.
I mean, obviously not in person because we can't go out. But
yeah, we'll put targeted adverts for nappies and medicine.
So we don't think it's having an effect arguing with people on Facebook then?
I've occasionally persuaded someone. That's after 10 years of daily spending 2 hours a day arguing with everyone. I think I've convinced 2 people. So, yeah.
I was going to say, isn't it like there are scientific studies indicating that it is impossible to change people's minds online, just purely due to cognitive dissonance? Like if you have deep held beliefs, you're not going to change those just because you had a conversation with some guy. It's easier for your brain to do some mental gymnastics than it is for you to kind of go, everything I believe is a lie.
And also, you're no longer the village idiot on your own. You'll get people who like your post, then the right groups they're members of will get suggested to you. Then all your idiot ideas will have 100 likes, and then you'll get shared resources and reading that will also be promoted in a newsfeed as a suggestion. The advertising algorithms will then sell you tinfoil hats. And why would you listen to the one comment that's like, "Nah, you're on the wrong path, mate"? It's like, well, sorry, it's 100 to 1.
Because every time I have a conversation with a right-wing person telling me how capitalism is actually good, I'm like, oh wow, that's some really compelling arguments. Wow. And then I go into my leftist meme pages, and they reinforce that actually, no, the other guy, he didn't know what he was talking about. These guys, they wouldn't lie to me because I believe what they believe, and they believe what I believe. So why?
Sassy socialist meme, didn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Can I make a counter argument though against that? Because I think you are exactly.
No,
right.
I just want to hear opinions that agree with mine.
Well, no,
This is why it's called
agree with
Beyond
you.
Binary.
Like, no, fuck this.
I do agree with you, right? I do agree with you, but I want to, because we're talking about, for example, we're talking about the you arguing with the person who's posted or whatever, if they're commenting on your post, two people. But like, we know this social media, like when I'm commenting on someone else's post or whatever, there's loads of people who are watching it, right? And I know this because when we started doing episode 4 with the veganism stuff, and I was making posts and saying like, oh, what do people think about it and stuff? And loads of people had seen it but hadn't commented or interacted in any way. So I think like sort of in a Zizek versus Peterson way, do you know what I mean? Peterson tried to attack Zizek. Zizek just went over the top and just went, I'm going to speak to all of your fans and your whole audience and just take them somewhere completely different. It's not a one-on-one debate. It's like, it's called mostration, right? Zizek spoke to the fans, he wasn't attacking Peterson. And that's what I think, that if there's anything to be gained from it, I think that's probably it. Like, Johnny, if you comment on a 5G conspiracy thing and you just give them some basic facts and science with a link. Yeah, maybe like 10 other people see it and go, oh, well, have a look at that. Do you know what I mean? You share the image from the BBC about the ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. People go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. You know, maybe it's not so
ionizing. Your mate James or Semaj or whatever he's called on Facebook, like
he's not my mate. I don't.
I thought he was your mate.
I don't know him. He just added me.
He added me.
I've got a very open mind when it comes to.
So
Facebook.
he talks about zionizing, and it's like it's just one of those words that you're like, when you know someone's off on one, you're like, if you want to talk to me about how power corrupts and the rich are out for their own gain, and this is my problem with all these conspiracy theories, right? The Illuminati is a demonstrable historical group that were involved in the formation of the United States of America, which was arguably based on conspiracy theories, right? A lot of the myths about British rule and they're trying to turn us into slaves were fake news. Like, America is based on this like fear and propaganda. and the thing is, I don't think the world follows a plan of a group of 8 people who are controlling everything like puppets. It looks entirely like chaos and a bunch of rich cunts trying to get slightly richer. That tracks.
It's not a conspiracy, though.
From what I'd expect. No, but people think there's a master plan by the Zionist elite, and you're like, and as soon as they say Zionist, it's very easy to be like, oh, okay, so this is just unnecessarily racist towards the Jews.
Well, no, it's not the Zionists. It's the New World Order. It's the globalists. It's the
usually just they, isn't it?
I was going to say, whenever somebody says they, if they can't tell you who they is, they
like
don't
energy.
exist.
Yeah, energy with a big E.
Yeah.
But this is very old. Humans have behaved like this culturally since the birth. It's always us versus the other, and the other is undefined, and us is very defined, right? Us is an identity, and the other is whatever is not our identity. And this has just taken various forms throughout history. And we used to be, I think as well, us used to be a very much more defined thing. Nationalism used to work a lot more defined than nowadays. We've all become globalists, which sort of means you need to get your identity from your own sort of structures. Part of it may still be nationalist, but you're a lot less nationalist than you were 50 years ago or 100 years ago.
I said it facetiously,
nationalists, but
I said it facetiously, but it's the truth. Because of globalization, because of the loss of nationalization, the loss of religious identity, people are adrift looking for a group of like-minded thinkers to latch onto, which is why it's lovely when you have a bunch of people that like the same posts and
enter religion.
It's my favorite meme is it's actually whatever. The flat earthers who have members all around the globe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite beautiful.
Then there's this us and them, and this being part of a group is quite it's an integral part of the psychology, right? Chris, maybe you can talk a bit about this, but it must be really difficult to leave like a group of conspiracy thinkers, whatever the topic is, right? Flat Earth or whatever, or Scientology, when I use the example, right? Because like to leave that group, for a start, to begin, to join that group, you have to kind of exclude everyone in your life and push them away. right?
And
And like
once
withdraw
you-
socially. And when you're
especially
in,
a
it's like, who do you
theory.
go back to, right?
So especially a theory where there's a big cover-up, right? And this is what Johnny was talking about earlier. Once you believe that the government's lying to you, this organization's lying to you, this accepted thing is complete bullshit. There's a bunch of doctors who are intentionally lying and trying to inject your child with mercury so that they can poison them. Once you accept even like a bit of that, you start rejecting a lot of people and then saying that they're sheep. And they're wrong, and we're and I. That's such an alluring thing to be like. We know a clever truth that the world is missing out on. Sadly, it only works when it's a small group, right? You can't have these groups where you're like inconsistent. These minorities work when people like form.
Because they splinter. So do you guys know about QAnon? Yeah, which is another amazing conspiracy theory.
A little bit. Are they anonymous? Are they related or not?
Kinda, yeah.
What
So
did
they
you know about them then?
Okay, yeah. So they follow Q. Q gives them like cryptic messages
It's
on
like the world's
4chan.
shittest version of the Times cryptic crossword.
But
puzzle.
but it's an evolving conspiracy theory, and it's evolved so much that it started forming splinter groups, which are now infighting, and it's beautiful. I love QAnon.
It just sounds like organized religion.
Exactly.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is almost like religious. Like they have a prophet who speaks to them, and then a bunch of people interpreted what it means.
He predicts the future, right? So he literally
Kind of,
has
yeah. He
powers.
claims he's an insider in the White House, and people said, "Oh, it's Barron Trump or it's Flynn's son." Can't remember his name. Like the people think that it's like someone high up in the White House, and he's just. However, because the conspiracy is that Trump is waging a war against pedophile lizards within America, and so this war is secret. No one knows about it, but Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, they've already been arrested. They're now wearing ankle bracelets. This whole corona thing is just cover, whilst Trump is moving on to the next phase and obviously arresting more of them. Hopefully Kevin Spacey, but weird enough, not Jeffrey Epstein, but
this is the thing that infuriates me with all these conspiracy theories. So much of it is conjecture. What if this? What if lizard people? You're like, but there already are a bunch of like elites in Hollywood that were sexually harassing people. Not enough of them were arrested. There's already a bunch of stuff that's demonstrable fact that we do very little about. September 11th's the big one. Like maybe it was done by alien lizard people, but it doesn't matter. We didn't arrest any war criminals, or not any white ones anyway.
No, we invaded Saudi Arabia, didn't we? Wait.
Like all these things that when it actually comes out and you have an inquiry and this happened and this was illegal and this was misinformation and the CIA was told to do lies and the war was for profit and Halliburton made loads of money and Dick Cheney was on the board of directors of Halliburton. We all know all of this and nothing gets done about it. There was no fallout. None of these people even paid a fine. So who cares?
It ruined Tony Blair.
It doesn't matter.
No,
like,
No,
but none of what you listed, Chris, is really illegal. If something happens and you think, oh shit, this is bad stuff's happening, as a business, you can look at it and go, we could just sit back and let it be normal, or we could try and take advantage of it, and taking advantage of it. Is it that bad? I mean, it's morally terrible, but that's what businesses are.
Isn't that the definition of bad?
Yeah.
Is it bad? Yes it is.
Yes, it is bad. Yeah, okay.
Well, the Jeffrey Epstein saga is pretty bad. There's a guy who got arrested, got slapped on the wrist, was basically allowed to come and go from his prison over the space of the 2-month sentence he served, and then went back to doing what he was doing before, which was pimping out children to the rich and powerful. And it's weird how the pimp to the rich and the powerful didn't actually face any kind of justice until he accidentally died in prison.
And here's the thing:
it's a conspiracy.
Find me the person who thinks he actually killed himself. That's my we all just accept that. Yeah, he was friends with paedophile billionaires, so makes sense.
It's strange, isn't it? It's strange how the stuff that is so clearly fucking conspiracy theory just slaps you in the face. People are like, whatever.
Just slides on by.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, they're rich, so they'll go away with it.
Anything that is truly demonstrably bollocks is just right up there.
So the Panama Papers, it was
Oh, yeah.
released that revealed that all these rich bastards are hiding money, just basically just extracting wealth from the countries and hiding it offshore, so they don't have to pay tax on it. Oh yeah, no, there was no ramification except for one, which is of course that the journalist who broke the story got killed in a car bomb.
It's mad, isn't it?
Well, but we've accepted mass
We
capitalism,
know it. Yeah.
and
We've kind of accepted it. Yeah.
yeah,
That's not.
we've
Yeah,
accepted
it's
the
like
billionaire class,
the
and
Joker
whatever
from the
they do,
dark-
they do.
It's like the Joker from the Dark Knight, right? That's the script that we accept. That isn't weird. Like if soldiers die in Afghanistan or Iraq, we're like, yeah, that's we've accepted that reality. It's not out there. It's not weird. It's part of the accepted now. Billionaire's gonna billionaire. Am I right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. And like a killing in jail and the guard being bought out and everything. Yeah, of course, we've seen that in movies. We've been conditioned even, and that's maybe conspiracy, but you've been conditioned to believe that shit.
Yeah, of course the camera was switched off. I mean, why wouldn't be? That's just, I
Right.
mean, if someone's going to die in prison, you
It
switch
just
off the
happens,
camera.
right? Yeah. And no one has any outcry about it. Like, why the fuck?
I thought they accidentally deleted the tape. I'm not even kidding. That was,
Oh, yeah.
that's what happened. They accidentally deleted the tape. Oh my god.
Talking about rich people, why is Bill Gates like such a target for all these memes? He's just a friendly philanthropist, isn't he?
He is a billionaire
I
that
think,
flew on
like,
Jeffrey Epstein's
he's ripped
plane quite a
people
lot.
off.
I'll put that
Is he?
out there.
I don't know about
I
that.
don't believe that he is like Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sorry.
He's
I
his
don't know
mate.
why, but I don't believe it.
I mean, because you like him, because he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. I think
Who,
he's
Bill
very
That's the halo
smart.
effect.
I think
right?
he's a very smart, considerate person. Yeah.
Look, I
If
think
you
it's
look at what he's
more-
done, he's taken all the rich, he's sold us all operating systems. Do you know what I mean? He's taken $100 from each of us, and then he's all the corporations, and then he's taken that money and he's put it into solving Google disease. To me, that's Robin Hood.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, but I have a problem with this narrative because part of the problem is, right, when you own a trust that has $100 billion and you invest money in some for profit things and some for non-profit things, and then you give the money away. I mean, look, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have been giving away billions for years, but somehow their assets are going up, which doesn't compute until you realize that he also gives money to a bunch of newspapers that print the story that he's giving the money away. Like, I don't think. I don't.
No, but
think,
this is a different thing. Should Bill Gates be the savior of the earth? Should he even be allowed to be the savior of the earth? Because the savior of the earth, what he
we
wants
take
to
his
do
money and we'll do it.
is they want to spend the money to save the
Totally
earth,
was
and at
there for
the same time make enough money to continue saving
Yeah.
the earth.
I agree
Right?
with
Bill Gates believes that he is the savior of the earth. Now, what you're saying is that between all the projects that he is going on, and this guy has an IQ of 150, 160, and he's reading like 2 books a day. And you're saying in between all that time, he has time to be having some weird sexual fetish.
no.
Oh,
no.
with Jeffrey Epstein, I can see it. I can see it. The guy had just too much time and money on his hands, and the guy's too suspicious, and there's too much proof.
I think let's
It's
disambiguate. Number one, we don't know,
Nah.
but we do know he was flying on Jeffrey Epstein's plane many times.
So have
after
many
the
people.
allegations
So
about
what all the
Jeffrey
other people on the
Epstein came
plane
out.
like?
Well, mostly little girls. But look, that muddies the waters because I think, to be honest, that's just like they are their own class of people, right? Like billionaires, there's only so many friends you can have. And also, Jeffrey Epstein was probably introducing a bunch of billionaires to a bunch of billionaires, some of whom went to his sexy parties, some of whom didn't. That's neither here nor there.
Right.
The problem is that Bill Gates spends billions promoting movies, films, newspapers, magazines, like all of the above, right? He owns a significant controlling share in one of the massive media companies that owns a bunch of news stations. So the fact that you've read a bunch of stories about what a nice guy Bill Gates is doesn't surprise me. And
No, but I mean, there's figures on the money that he's paid into the foundation and what they've done with that money in order to treat
sure, and it's
diseases.
huge sums of money. But when you own a trust foundation, a lot of that money is what you would have paid in tax anyway.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. So I don't think necessarily Bill Gates should be the person assigned to be the savior of the earth just because he was a successful capitalist.
And tying it back,
Neither should Jeff Bezos, right?
tying it back
They
into what we
they
said
believe
earlier.
that. Philanthropists believe that they should be the person responsible rather than governments.
Tying it back
Rather
to
than
what we said
worldview.
earlier, because we don't trust governments, because we don't like politicians, we actually like the story of a guy that's Tony Stark, Iron Man, doesn't need the governments, right? Like, and would we really rather take off the nice, smart guy that's made it through his own house to some civil servants that are probably going to squander it on some bullshit war? Like, it's tough. It's a tough sell, right?
I don't really see what the problem is with what you're saying, though, because we're getting money. We're getting his money, whereas alternatively, we could not get his money, and he could be a horrible cunt.
I'm still waiting for my check.
Poor Chris, he's trying to save Africa. You're still waiting for your check. Jesus Christ.
Fuck you, Bill.
How
I'm
entitled
still
are you? Yeah, Jesus. No, like, come on. Bill Gates has demonstrably done more than most people. But the question is, should he have the billions in the first place to be in a position to do more than most other people can do?
It's an interesting question, but he has the money, like, and he's doing something with it. Look at the Saudi billionaires. Like, are they doing the same thing? Like,
No.
out of all the billionaires, he seems to be doing the most with Buffett, and maybe there's a few others, but there's like, half the billionaires aren't even doing that. They're just going like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna have a mega yacht. I don't fucking care."
Then
Like,
you look at
what?
A
And
lot
then
of
we're
them, they're
demonising Bill
building.
Gates because of a vaccine or something. I just don't get it. Do you know what I mean?
if you look at someone
get it.
then like Elon Musk, that's a bit more like a savant toddler with £1 billion. He's got
Can
a
I say, which one of us would be a responsible billionaire? I'm truly curious.
You can trust me with the billions. I'll do it.
I think I would vote Finn. I would vote Finn. Yeah.
I really like Elon Musk, but I do worry that he's going to bring about the end of world.
Although, by discovering we're in a simulation.
I don't know. One of his crazy, Neuralink, all joining us all together.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know.
No,
It's
he
like
would have
Matrix.
buggered off to Mars before then. I mean, that's the whole plan, isn't it? Just get him
He's
and
sending everyone else first and then following
but-
on later.
Listen, this is, to be honest, he's already destroying astronomy. Because the guy's putting up
Well done.
satellites for internet satellite links,
Yeah.
and these are too bright on Earth, and astronomy observations are already being heard by his network of satellites. But he could just shoot rockets up the air as much as he wants to.
Yes.
Come on,
Doesn't
Space
give a
has been
fuck.
there long
It's just
enough.
launch another satellite. It's my satellite system.
What more is there to see? We've had enough chance to look up the stars. I think. What's the point in looking up if you don't send something up there, right?
There's only
We-
limited stuff you can do with optics in the optics that those things are doing, and there's only limited stuff you can do from down here on Earth. The real
Sure.
next big
Sure.
breakthroughs will be from
Yeah.
near Earth
Telescopes.
orbit and
yeah.
everything else.
Stuff.
But that
Yeah.
Starlink thing is very much about making an absolute fuck ton of money because one thing, as I said, I was doing a project with Facebook, and that was pretty much about getting more ad revenue into Facebook. It was about, oh, you've heard about this place called Africa, and not enough of them are on Facebook. We'd like to kind of enable that.
Wow.
And that was very much about how we get, internet into Africa and third world countries. But Starlink is exactly that, as well as with the Starlink network, you can shave probably 3/4 of the time off of trading links between London and New York Stock Exchange over the current methods. And that is like
That will pay for the
trillions of
network.
pounds.
Yeah.
trillions of
Yeah.
pounds worth, just even in each trade.
He's
So-
so clever, man, because he's thought of that. He's thought of PayPal, and then he's thought about as well, just like the rocket to get people from like London to Sydney in an hour. And then he's only doing that because he wants to make enough money so he can send rockets to Mars.
I
love
do
it.
think
It's like
everything
we don't
he's
actually
doing
need this, but
is.
we'll do this to get that technology.
Because he's
and
not
money.
wasting time with Jeffrey Epstein parties. The man has bigger visions.
Stop fucking more thinking. So, I do. He's got one of those things that just makes you think that he's a good guy and he's out for you. He's not one
A
of
lot of
those.
people think he's a bit weird, but I've not heard
Yeah.
any conspiracies about him though.
There-
Like the Bill Gates
It's probably
thing.
a few.
there are like sort of criticism against him from a sort of leftist viewpoint that some of his ideas are a little bit elitist.
Accelerationist,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, crabs in a bucket.
Like
as
for
I
example,
described
like the tunnels was it the tubes underneath New York?
Hyperloop, isn't it?
Yeah, which are objectively a stupid idea.
Don't
But
believe the hype, yeah.
but however, no one's accusing him of like attending satanic rituals, sacrificing children to Moloch. So yeah, it's a win. Good on Jeff.
So
Yeah,
low
it's just
standard.
he's been accused of bad labor conditions quite a bit.
There's also the fact
You
that
make things
everyone has.
in this world, right?
No, not really. Everyone has. No,
But a
not
lot of
as
the big
much.
companies.
Not as much. No, not at all. I work
Apple?
for a huge company. I work for one of the top 100 companies. Definitely not.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
He's known for having a very strict working ethic, and you can disagree or agree with it, but that's a fact.
I'm testing if you're all on it, because that was an appeal to futility fallacy right there, but no one ran the logical fallacy buzzer.
Guys, tying it all together, I think. Do you know that YouTube channel called In a Nutshell? It's got some German name.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I love it.
The best
fantastic.
video that Nemo, shout out to Nemo by the way, shared is just a hack for all these conspiracy theories, and you just go, does it affect rich and powerful people? If yes, then your theory is probably full of shit. So the idea that they're hiding a cure for cancer, it's like, well, do rich people die of cancer? Yes.
Yeah, they do.
They fuck your theory. 5G, will rich people be immune
Yeah.
to 5G poison? No, then clearly it's not an issue.
Do rich people get vaccinated? Yeah.
It just cuts through it very quickly. Like,
I think this is the reason why we're taking Corona so seriously. It's because the rich and powerful can get it, which is the reason why everyone's panicking. I think if it only affected poor people, they would not give a shit.
although
Saying
sadly,
the same thing the other day. Yeah, I'm not sure it'd be taken as
sadly,
seriously.
if you have 6 full-time doctors looking after you, you do have a much greater recovery rate.
Well,
Probably.
yeah. Good
It is-
on Boris Johnson for surviving, by the way. Well done.
I mean, it's the poorest people who are going to suffer the most, right?
Always.
Yeah,
You
when
don't
the
have to worry
economy
about
collapses.
chemtrails.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Don't have to worry about chemtrails then, because rich people don't breathe air. So.
We end it on a more positive note.
Let's be there.
Can we come up with like a vaccine for conspiracy theories, right? Because I've got this idea that like, because I
But
studied
the
philosophy,
conspiracy theorists wouldn't take the vaccine.
metaphorical vaccine.
I think
real.
we should all just talk more about the greatest conspiracy theory in the world, which is the inequality of wealth.
Sounds like Marxist mumbo jumbo to me.
It sounds like postmodern.
You're in though.
Marxism, mate.
I know you're in
That's what
though.
you're talking about. It's an ingrained feature of the world, according to Jordan Peterson. So that's cleared up. You know what I mean,
Yeah, but
we don't need to go into that.
I'll disagree with that from an anthropological standpoint. That's an
Yeah.
ingrained part of the world. Yeah.
I don't think we can launch into another. Yeah, we should do an episode on that though.
I'm just saying, yeah. If we're talking
I reckon we
about
should do an
this
episode on that one.
yeah, all of it has been like it's about wealth. Follow the money, follow the money, follow
Mm.
the money. Well, let's follow the money. And
Let's follow it. Yeah. And then we'll learn about Bill Gates. So my point was, let's make a vaccination, right? Because I studied philosophy, but I had a bit of too much of an open mind. It's like what we were talking about earlier, the whole like, but what if?
Like
Do you know what I mean?
a
So
sieve.
like doing philosophy, I was like, yeah, but what if? Do you know what I mean? But I didn't know anything about science. So like, since I learned about science, then I could like go, oh yeah, like chemtrails don't make any sense. And yeah, 5G is just another kind of radiation. It's
Yeah.
super similar to 4G, and it's not really.
Studying science on any level is massively beneficial because there's certain hacks that you just learn, right? There's the onus of proof. So a big one is like when someone's like, I have these crazy theories. You're like, cool. Like it's
Prove it.
your job to prove that everyone else is wrong before I'm even going to entertain that. And there's Occam's razor, which everyone knows, which is like, you know, the simplest explanations, probably the best. I think this theory is it's something called, it has to be parsimonious, right? Like if you're going to suggest that tin foil stops the lizards people radiation bouncing off the moon and the lizards people, like, there's a lot of levels you've made to your theory that makes it super, super complex. And one of my favorites, like shortcut hacks here, Newton's laser sword. Have you heard of this, Johnny?
I think I know it, but I couldn't recite it.
So it's just scientists have
Sounds
spent
good.
so long
Sounds like a
arguing.
lightsaber.
Yeah, it's spent scientists that have spent so long arguing over things, and it applies beautifully for this conspiracy theory. Like, are we going to be able to design an experiment to prove it either way? If no, then why are we bothering to talk about it? Let's just not fucking bother.
So
I think you're right.
I've got one to add to that list. If just going back to the Facebook stuff, if you're having a discussion with someone or an argument with someone, and if you are setting out to destroy their whole world from underneath them, then it is always polite to give them something else to kind of hold on to. So if you're pretty much just going to go, right, no, this is your whole ideology, no, that's not right, this is actually the right one, it's always polite to give them something else to go with, and kind of just, just to kind of shepherd them in the right direction.
How about this book by L. Ron Hubbard?
Yeah.
Great
Have
advice.
you guys heard about
Great
religion?
Yeah. I'd like to talk to you about Jesus.
It's a good
Oh
point.
yeah, it's his resurrection day today, isn't it? Happy Easter, everyone.
Who?
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Zombie
Yeah.
Jesus
Oh,
Day.
yeah, Jeebus.
Happy
Yeah,
Zombie
yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I-
back.
I-
I thought
I
he was
was-
back yesterday, but that's a false alarm. It's today, isn't it?
My mum raised me on the theory that Jesus was an alien. Have you guys heard this one?
Yeah, obviously he is. Come on.
Well, he healed people with superior technology. He was able to walk on water with a jetpack, and at the end of his days, he ascended. A light from heaven was above, and that was him getting beamed up on the flying saucer. And this
Don't
was
get me
just-
started. Don't get me started on Eric Van Donkey, Chariots of the Gods, man. I love
Just
that
as
stuff.
believable.
So good. There's so many fascinating old documents though with pictures of UFOs in it.
Yeah, I've
Keeps me
seen
going for
yeah.
days, that one.
Which is why aliens is the least harmful one. Like, if anyone's going off on
It's
this
probably
tangent,
true as
it's
well.
like,
Do you know what I mean?
okay, but how are the aliens involved in Rasputin's death? Like, I need to know.
I mean, the
I've
only one
been-
that I've really struggled with on the aliens point of view is there was a guy in the 70s that came out as being working in Area 51. I cannot remember his name, but he's
Bunch
just
of them, I think.
well. There's one that was really convincing. There's a couple of things he said that have turned out to be true, and his whole life has been literally ripped to pieces. And the FBI have raided his house on multiple occasions, and he's not profiteering from it. He's really not. He's had a shit time, a really bad time. And
This is
he's
it. We love.
hammering.
They have to be martyrs, right? Like, if because we don't trust anyone.
Well, he's one of these guys that really doesn't want to talk out. You have to really bully him into doing an interview, and every time it happens, he ends up, invariably somebody comes around and raids his house and shuts his business down for a while. So it just seems he's one of the people that you kind of look at and go, do you know what? I can't follow the money, Merrin. I can't
Yeah.
follow the money on this one. Why are you just shut up? Why are you doing it?
It's the same as Gary McKinnon, who was like hacking into the American government computer systems on a dial-up. Do you know what I mean? And he was there was a whole extradition farce around him.
Yeah.
The whole thing's crazy. And he said, I was just downloading pictures of like UFOs. Like, he wasn't actually hacking. He was just having a little look.
Well, most hacking, by the way, people think it's like, oh no, I need to reroute the subprogram. It's just typing password into government official
Yeah,
accounts.
admin. That's what he did. That's literally what he did. And then he changed the password and had a look.
Fine.
Guys, I'm honestly quite disappointed that the movie that we all ended stuck up into is Outbreak Contagion. And not the big alien movie, because quite honestly, I was hoping for the big
Yeah.
alien movie, but
Independence
we
Day.
ended up with the big pandemic movie.
I
Yeah.
was hoping for Skynet, but actually no, screw that zombie movie. I was hoping a zombie.
That's Terminator, man.
I was hoping for Arrival. That would be cool. The aliens come
Right?
down, we got to figure out how to communicate with them. That would be way
Exactly.
better.
No, but
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
You still get
So-
panic buying, do you know what I mean? But for no real reason.
But following
If this is the
Isaac's
apocalypse, the
prophet,
shit apocalypse.
I just don't understand. Like, again, it's a really cynical way of looking at it, but I don't know why aliens would bother traveling so far to talk to us. It would be entirely uninteresting.
Yeah, because we helped them out in the future, so now they're coming back to our past to. Do you know what I mean? It's all
Also-
interlinked.
Chris, they don't want to talk to us. They just want to put things in our bums.
Which, now,
Also, and this is to put some skepsis realism into it, but if you calculate how far radio waves have traveled since we started to transmit radio waves, it's not really that far out.
No,
We haven't
space is huge.
communicated that far out into space. I'm sorry to
they'll be
say,
getting
but
Hitler's speeches soon, though, which will be making a good first impression.
They'll come over and they'll be like, "What are you doing?" No, sorry, we sorted that out.
They'll shout, they're like, we hear you guys have a problem with the Jordan. We're here to help.
Too soon, Chris. Too soon.
Oh, boys, it's been fun. Do we have an inspiring quote to wrap up nicely?
Well. Before that, hold your horses.
Whoa!
Hold your horses, Chris. There are
Premature.
5 important websites that we want to share. 2 of them I've mentioned on here before. YourLogicalFallacyIs.com and YourBias.is are amazing, and they go into all of these like misthinking and the psychology and philosophy. It's absolutely fascinating. There's like PDFs you can download, cards, just explaining them really simply. And I thought you were asking for a turn, Toby. I thought you were just twiddling a beard.
I'm just doing visual things if this is going out on YouTube.
Nice.
But however, like
The other one I want to mention that is hilarious is rationalwiki.org. I don't know if any of you guys have read it.
Yeah.
I
So
love Rational
funny.
Wiki.
Just wetting myself, and it's so good because it explains basically everything, but in a very funny and kind of ironic way.
I
So yeah, does
may have
anyone else have any
contributed
websites you
some
want to
of
share?
the articles.
It's basically Toby, the internet version.
Yeah,
I've actually contributed to Rational Wiki, so I'm glad you guys
that
enjoy
doesn't
it.
surprise
Not
me.
surprising.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Also, we've mentioned it, but we should probably plug this a new thing called Facebook. Great place to find out if your aunt's racist or not. The answer may surprise you.
I've got a couple. A lot of the data I've referenced is in something called the Stewart Report, which was done in 2003 by the UK government on 3G when it was a danger. You can Google it quite easily. Stewart Report UK Gov. It's very, very long, but the front page pretty much covers all the detail. And the last one is there's a group of skeptical thinkers in up north in the UK work for a company called Good Thinking Society. They recently got homeopathy taken off of the NHS, and they are also attacking. I don't say attacking, but trying to correct chiropractics and anti-vaxxers, as well as a few other quack medicines that are on the NHS that shouldn't be.
Good. Fuck those snake oil salesmen. They really
Indeed.
are the worst.
It was Terry Pratchett. Science is not about building a body of known facts. It is a method for asking awkward questions and subjecting them to a reality check, thus avoiding the human tendency to believe whatever makes us feel good. Terry Pratchett.
TP.
Rest in peace.
Sorely missed in these days.
Indeed.
Now on BBC Radio 4, we present The First Trip. This programme's broadcast in surround sound, so to enjoy the full effects, if you have a home cinema system, you should listen using that. The power of a new generation.
From Cordoba, I'm Finn.
From Plymouth, I'm Chris.
From Amsterdam, I'm Marijn.
Stockholm, I'm Toby.
Brendan, I'm Johnny.
Johnny, thank you very much for joining us. If you'll
thanks,
unblock me on Facebook, I'll promise not to spam you.
Did I honestly block you on
I
Facebook?
can't remember, dude. Who cares?
I can understand that, Johnny.
We've got to bring him into the beyond binary, the fold of the good guest Facebook message.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for
Such
sure.
a
It's
funny
good guest.
group of
Yeah.
people.
It was an absolute pleasure having you, man, and nice to
thanks,
chat with
mate.
you again.
And you guys, and you. It's been fun.
I say, like, it wasn't as shambolic with 5 people as expected. It worked out pretty well.
I think video helps because you really
Yeah.
see who's going to speak and who's not. Like,
Maybe your
Yeah,
hand
and how people are
signals
reacting to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fucking, my aunt's not racist on Facebook. Fuck you.
To be fair, my aunt's not racist. Her cats, however.
Oh dear.
Hitler
Listen.
moustaches.
Don't upset cat fans on the internet.
Hitler
really.
whiskers.
Yeah, Hitler whiskers. Yeah, for sure. I've seen quite a few.
But
Right,
yeah,
boys, stay safe, stay indoors. And,
cheers,
Yeah.
guys.
I'm gonna go get
Enjoy
drunk.
yourselves.
Don't
Yeah,
dick
I'm
in
already
the
on the way.
doors.
Hey.
Enjoy.
Much
Have fun,
love.
boys.
Right,
later.
good to see you again, Johnny. Take care.
And you, buddy.
Yeah,
And you.
likewise.
Yeah,
Much
Johnny, it
love
was
to
great. Thank you.
And you, Maren.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, mate. Take it easy.